Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a high diamond, like 3450, Sombra. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below there, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, specials, all that good stuff. It's Diamond Blah, but it's like 3450. They're constantly jumping in and out of Masters, so we'll call it what it is, but Game Buster isn't exactly wrong. Okay, so we're going here, setting your translocator there.
Been here all along.
Yeah, okay. Now you're just gonna have to hold this angle. You're gonna break the turret with your health pack. Nice that he can't hit a shot.
Here I am.
Okay. So like we've got to have stronger decision making than this. So we go here, we hit this. We go, hey, I'm going to reload, and then I want this shot on the Zarya. I understand why we're de-stealthing here, to go, hey, I want to continue this shot. But this actually isn't amazing, because you know you haven't really forced this Torb to stop paying attention to you. So you're not really on the outside. Like, it's okay to go, hey, I see this, I see the Discord, I'm magnetized to the Discord, I have the angle on this, and I'm protected on the angle on this. You've still got your translocator up, but you're just forcing your stealth out here when you're not really on the outside of the fight. This would be the outside of the fight. This would be the outside of the fight. You're still sort of here. Like, this would be a good place to maintain. If you hadn't stealthed, I'd love for you to be doing this right now. I just don't love that we're burning our stealth to do it, but that's okay. Yep, and this is what I was talking about not actually being on the outside of the fight for this angle.
Buenas noches. Enemy turret destroyed.
Okay, so
Miss me?
it might feel easier for you to aim at this distance. It's also easier for her to aim at this distance. Like, this is not really a thing. You can't, like... Yes, it is easier for you to aim at this distance than it is if you're right up in her face, etc. But it's actually also quite a bit easier for her to aim, and she has the more dangerous weapon than you. You can't fight her at this range. You can't do that. No. That's not a thing you can do. So if we recalibrate this, let's just come back in here.
Enemy turret destroyed.
There really wasn't a need for us to open this fight in general. She's not looking. As we're on stealthing, we can actually get closer to her before we do this. Yes, our weapon has effectiveness at this range, but we can get closer to her before we open this, as that's going to let us get a little bit more, going to make our spread a little less punishing. We're not like Tracer where we're constantly trying to get right up in their face, but we can be going, hey, you're not aware of me yet. I'm going to walk a little bit closer, because I'm ultimately going to teleport out. And if I'm not doing that, I want to be hanging more. If I'm not planning to teleport out once I get forced, I want to be hanging more on this, where I get to close the angle on cover and then come back over here and shoot from above here. Like, those are my two options. I either get closer if I'm just counting on translocating out, or I'm going to play tighter on this cover where it's going to be a smaller angle for her to adjust. She adjusts to there as opposed to adjusting to there. Yes, those are different. But you have the angle of going, okay, now you're paying attention to me, I'm just going to close it, and now I'm going to go over here and do something. Those were really your options. Now, you're not going to keep this distance. Nope. Nope, you're not just going to dance and keep that distance. She can beat you like that.
No manches. See you later.
Okay. You're setting that up. You're going for a deep angle again. This is the exact same play. Okay. Okay, let's take a better awareness of your comp. You have on your side Zen, Torb, Hog, Orisa, and Mercy. And let's get more aware of where they're playing from. So they're playing core. You're definitely in early. Like, there's no question that you're in early for this, but because you're in early, you can just mess around for a second. Let's see what happens on your next cycle here.
I'm out of here.
Okay, now you're gonna have a real cycle.
Over here.
It's fine. Get the mini and go. No, so now we have a timing issue. So now we have a timing issue where now your team is relevant. Your team is like, hey, the Widow's focused on us. My Orisa is trying to occupy this, be that with a shield, be that with her fortify, be that with her weapon. She's trying to occupy this. My Torv is trying to do some work. My Zen. Like, your team is doing something here, and you're out. So, like, yes, you got your EMP a little faster by doing this when you did this over here. But we do want to keep in mind that there's kind of a multi-pronged approach to this. Like, here we are.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Okay. You're opening the fight now. And this is a problem because they have, the ult going. But you're opening the fight now. Your team isn't going to want to push right now. Like, your team isn't going to want to push right now, and this is going to force your own recall back to here. And then on your next push, your team will have already pushed. So, like, you sort of want your distraction to be something that helps your team to push in here. Yes, you're trying to get ult charge out of this. Yes, it's great if you can get eliminations out of this. But there does have to be a timing window of, is my engagement useful to my team? The answer right now is no. Okay, I can still do this if I'm going to get a little bit of ult charge, but not if it sets me back so much that my next engage is not useful to my team, or that my team wants to do something and I'm not useful to them. If I can wait 2 seconds before going in here to make my engagement timing useful to my team, that's good. If I'd have to wait 8, 9, 10 seconds on my team, I'm just going to do an extra little farm loop here to get the ult charge, assuming I can find something low risk enough to do. And this one isn't great timing-wise.
I'm out of here.
You're back here, and now that you're back here, your team is sort of aggressing. You're not useful. Okay. Should your team have been aggressing through the Widow sites? No. But, hey. You know your stealth isn't doing anything right now. Okay.
Enemy turret here.
Okay.
Heroes never die.
Better. And you're going to work yourself into this cover next, right? No, no, no. You're not going to fight Widow at that range. You're going to immediately get yourself behind cover. Mm-hmm.
Mucho mejor.
No, you can't challenge her. Like, it's cute with your Valking Mercy up there and all, but your Valk is about to end, and you can't challenge her 2v2. It's not a 2v2 once the Valk's over.
Enemy turret here.
Wait. Wait. Your position is too good. Your position is too good. You're just gonna wait.
My ultimate is ready.
Wait.
Gotcha.
It's like just a touch early, but at least the positioning is good. Oh, but you're gonna EMP, aren't you? I don't love this. This is okay. Like, this is honestly a touch early. Yes, you're with a poke team, so it's not like the poke team needs to be right on top of them. Yes, your Torb has an angle, and that's saving this a bit. Your Hog almost has an angle, and that's saving this a bit. But, like, your Orisa is still not terribly aggressive out of this. Like, your Orisa does still need to advance, and her positioning isn't terribly aggressive yet. These guys are here. This is, like, 7 out of 10. I'd like to go for more. But, okay, you got your EMP. Why are you thinking you can be back here? You know the Widow's over here. Why do you think you can be back here? You had to push in here to fight in here, and you're fighting against Zarya, so you being in here put you in 0 more risk than in here. It's not like Zarya's damage changes whether you're here or here. You needed to be in here where Widow couldn't see you. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know where the Widow is! Fine.
See you later.
I mean, Zarya being scary. Zarya might be scary, but the matchup doesn't change whether you're closer to her or further from her. That's just a psychological thing. This is cute. Notice how much of a not threat she is It's not just that you got the jump on her, it's how much of a not threat she is when you're right on top of her like that. And this is what I was talking about. You chose to fight her, and we've seen this a couple times now. You have a certain range that you like to fight heroes, or that you seem to like to fight heroes at, where you fought her down here and then got one shot, and you fought Zarya at that very similar range, even though it puts you out here where Widow could potentially see you, when fighting her in here would have been preferable. So that's something I want you to be aware of, because we may have to cure that.
Damn it.
He can't re-challenge her. She's tucked in her backline. She'll have been healed, etc.
Be right back.
Ah, playing dodge with the Lucio orbs. Yep. Fine.
Translocating.
I don't mind that you start shooting at her. I do want you to keep walking closer. Yeah. And then you TV out. Good.
Ahorita regreso.
Enemy turret neutralized.
Okay.
See you later.
Please move behind the barrier.
Heroes never
I'm sure you're feeding that scouting information.
Miss me?
Oh boy. You know she's right there. That's going to be tough, though, because she definitely saw you. Okay, you just chose to... Okay, fine. You decided that her shot wasn't charged yet.
Miss me?
I think it's going to be helpful if you watch this from her perspective. You can be working your way closer towards her. I didn't like quite how far you went up against this wall, but I'm being nitpicky. This one was better than the other two.
Let's get started.
Do I want that mini hacked? I suppose you're unlikely to find a better hack.
I'm out of here.
Choosing to continue to deny this, I like it. Yes, mine. Exactly, what a mine would have been good. Wait, oh, there's the mine. It's real nice of her to just hop up here and get herself eliminated for you. You really should have came in faster than that. It was more reliable than what you did. I'm definitely being nitpicky, but you know she's got no health here. Melee right now. Yeah.
See you later.
You're gonna just EMP to win this one. Yeah. Can't do anything to you, just avoid the Torb. You can play a little bit better with cover than you do in terms of respecting what your cover does for other targets. This is good. He doesn't have Fire Strike. He's been rehacked. This is a little more scary. We don't like that Torb is on our screen when we have 5 HP. We would like to, if this Reinhardt is going to let us, we would like to close this angle again against the Torb. We would like to do that. A little more awareness of what the further back targets are, you know, what the targets that we're not working on are and what cover we can use against them. Don't drop. Just play sniper from up here. Do a little Widow 76. Just out mechanicking him.
Heroes never die.
Take your angle. Fine. Take your angle. Don't go this way. Whatever. Your team's established enough angles. That's fine. Okay, so looks like we've got 2 more rounds. The things that are the most obvious at this point are I mean, we could talk about engagement timing because that's always going to be important. And if you're getting it wrong once, there's a real likelihood that you're going to continue to get it wrong. It's not at the top of my list right now, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be. The stuff that's at the top of my list right now is actually managing your range better against heroes. You're a little too comfortable at a certain range, and you need to understand when it makes sense to change that range based on some heroes that you're going against, namely Widow, or as well as better understanding what the cover against the rest of the team looks like. Like you're looking for isolated fights, and you took one at one point where you sort of took an isolated fight against their Zarya while the Torb was there that I actually didn't like, but it showed sort of, hey, you have the understanding of I want to use this cover to sort of make this fight while I'm challenging someone use this cover against the other people. But then the other time against the Zarya, let yourself stay in the open. Eventually, the Widow moved, so you stopped being in the open relative to her. But at the start of the fight, you were when there wasn't really a need to be, and I think it was because of that distance. And then you had another one that we just went over later in the match as well. So those are the two that are jumping at me, but I suspect number 3, the engagement timing, is going to climb in importance because it usually does. But we'll see.
No, thank you. You and your colleagues discredit the field of science.
Yeah, but you have to remember, Game Buster, like deciding to continue shooting with 5 health isn't wrong. You do just as much damage with 5 health as you do with 200. And in some matchups that really matters. Like in some matchup that really matters. Like you can try to get more evasive with your movement, you can try to play more conservatively, but sometimes the right answer is just to go, no, like I do just as much damage as I did before. They have to hit another shot at me. Like if you have 40 HP versus 3 HP and you're up against a McCree, that's the same amount of HP. Like yes, I suppose one is melee range, the other isn't, but one body shot is going to take you down either way, so it doesn't really change anything. If you have 5 HP or 200 HP, Widow can headshot eliminate you either way. Can she Widow 76 eliminate you? Melee eliminate you? Mine eliminate you if you have 5 HP? Sure, but should it really change that heavily how you play? It does to some degree. Yes, it absolutely does. But there's times when it shouldn't, and you need to mentally force it to not make you because you recognize, wait, I can't actually do anything to avoid these things, so I should just do this. I should just play this the same way. Anyway, tangent.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh yeah, no. When she was fighting the Torb with 5 health and such, I completely agree. I completely agree. I'm not saying that was correct in this situation. I was making a more general point.
1.
I would have much preferred that she'd stayed on top of the tower and played Sombra 76 or Sombra Widows type style, where she just went, well, I guess I'll just, distract people from up here, be annoying, maintain my angle. But hey.
Be right back. See you later.
But I was, responding to the concept, not the specific. Okay. Get the timing right. This is... Your team is very poke heavy. I'd really like to see something a little harder go off here, because what's going to happen here... Like, I'd like to see something a little more significant. This Winston bubble is fairly significant. The Orisa barrier is fairly significant. I wouldn't really mind you waiting for something... Now the Winston barrier is significant enough. Did you go off of that? I don't think you even knew that had happened. No, you didn't. Like, if you know the halt's coming out, if you know, hey, we've got a little more of an angle, something that makes this fight a little bit more serious than just, hey, they're looking at each other. Like, the Winston started to rotate forward. I'd say the Winston has given you your yes cue, but I don't think you know that that yes cue has come out yet, unless your team is calmed heavily that they're committed or something. From the information you have, this is a little bit early. In truth, this is right on time, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not going early, because if you're going early, you're going to get forced out very quickly, and you would much rather your team take the focus of attention, and they effectively have to wrench their attention to you. Right now, your team loosely has their attention, but it's not going to be a hard wrench to get their attention back onto you, and you would prefer it was. This one's okay. The Winston bubble's out. It's fine, let him be. What are you doing? Oh, you saw it went down. Okay, fine. That's fine.
I'm out of here. I could use some assistance.
Good.
Your help would be appreciated.
See what we set up.
¿Qué tal?
Okay. A little bit of Sombra 76. Fine. Why? Why are we translocating out? That's a fresh barrier. It's a fresh barrier. This is absolutely fine. Now, you could say, hey, I think it's important to cover this direction. Like, if the comms are such that it's being called that you need to be over here, and maybe Torb is calling that, hey, Diva, and you want the juicy Diva to 2v1 with the Torb. If that's what happened, okay. Otherwise, you don't need to constantly be flanking and getting behind them. You can take softer off angles in some situations, which you're not doing much of. Or, if they're going to give you situations like this where you're just cleaning them up from behind a shield, you can take it. It's not super powerful, but you can take it. It's better than increasing your downtime by teleporting.
Translocating. Looking for me?
Yeah, I'm not sure why you'd have stealthed if this was the plan, but okay.
Much better. Much better.
Really? Like, again, we're going to look at this from their perspective. Does this feel adequate? Does this feel adequate? Okay. That reload was a little greedy, I'll just say. If he can't hit you, he can't hit you, but...
Later. Feeling much better.
Fine. Okay.
Surrender to my will.
Hey there. Lo siento.
Okay. Beautiful.
Translocating.
A little early.
Lo siento.
I mean, you could have continued. It's too late. It already rolled me forward. You could have continued. You don't want to get hooked, but you could have continued this angle for a tiny bit more work here. But you're out of ammo. Never mind. We're fine.
Much better.
Okay. Tuck behind your shield. Tuck behind your shield. Be open. You're going to go for the EMP. Is your team really set up to follow up on this? Yeah, okay. What? What? Okay, that mech's broken. What are we... What? What are we shooting? Trigger discipline? Hello? 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 What was that? Okay, that was sloppy in the first place right there, those first 7 shots, but more forgivable. Okay, these are real shots. Real shots, real shots. That mech is broken. You've still got 29 ammo left, and the first 7 ammo was worthless, but you were sort of trying to aim, so we'll call it. You just wasted half your clip. Like, full-on wasted half your clip. Not like, oh, they were sort of acceptable. Like, okay, maybe another 4 bullets were sort of acceptable on the broken mech. Maybe. In the same range as those 7 bullets that you wasted. But you wasted half of your clip. Woo, just drawing pretty things. See, I can do this, because I have infinite ammo and the game's paused. You can't do this. No. Hey, Sire Sappy. Yeah, that was some serious spray and pray. Why? You knew better than this before. Why are you hacking her? There's no way she's close to remacking. Like, you know when her mech was destroyed. There's no way she's close. This is silly. Your decision making just got a lot worse here. I'm not sure why. Because in the past, you weren't meaninglessly hacking baby divas when you broke their mechs. So, why? You have 37 shots. You have 37 shots, and that's clearly a turret being built right in front of you. It's clearly a turret being built in front of you. 34 shots. Let's shoot at the turret. Let's shoot at the turret. That is not shooting at the turret. And if you tell me, no, I'd already pressed the reload button when I was looking this way, I didn't know the turret was there, that's not better. Because you knew that there was the possibility that there was enemies here, because there'd been enemies here before, they'd retreated into here, they have the threat of pushing back out. Like, that's not better if you hit the reload button looking this way when you still had half a clip left. So, like, at half a clip left, you're staring at a turret that's building that would be very easy to destroy, and you reload. Play the right angle.
See you later.
You don't have to TP out here. Like, you're perfectly fine to maintain it. You're perfectly fine to maintain this angle. There isn't something better to be had yet. Like, you can maintain this. You don't need to be increasing your downtime to go, oh no, I have to do the Sombra thing and go like run and get behind them and play from these big off angles. Like, no, if all that's there is a little off angle, but it's a pretty good little off angle, and this is a pretty good little off angle, like it's a very minor off angle, but hey, they're pushing this way, they're giving you plenty to shoot at, your Orissa's threatening from here, you and your Torb are threatening from here, pretty comfortable with this, keep it going. Rack up another 10-15% ult charge rather than teleporting out. This is a lot of invested time, and this is a silly far away place to shoot from. Like, this is a silly far away place to shoot from. Are you thinking you're going to operate out of here with this hacked? Like, you're not effective at this range. If you want to go, hey, I'm going to use cover, you have cover options in here. These are fine. You even have cover options in here. You could play here. You could move your translocator to be set up on top of this. Play from here. This could be okay, but you're just not effective from here. And you invested a lot of time to get to this range that you're not effective at. Yeah, no, that was not worth giving away your presence for. You wanted to get closer first. The BAP would have been worth a hack, but that's okay.
Much better.
So, like, I want to show you what you accomplished in this last translocator round because it's pretty important. So I'm actually going to rewind pretty far here. Here you are. You're at 3% ult charge. While being here, you reasonably quickly got from 3% ult charge to 19% ult charge. You just teleported out for basically no reason. You're at 19% ult charge at 741.
See you later.
Now you're coming over here and doing this very ineffectively. You're doing this very ineffectively. A little better there. Okay, so you went from 19% ult charge to 33% ult charge. And it took you way longer than it did to get from 3% ult charge to 19% ult charge. Were you more threatening, more likely to get an elimination from over here? No. Were you more likely to get an elimination from here? A little. Were you enabling your teammates, by being here rather than here and distracting opponents a bit and making them more likely to get an elimination? A little, but for the amount of time you invested, you've basically gone 2 translocator cycles of time, like, hey, let me go do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, 1 translocator cycle of time, but you forced yourself out, went over here, went and did this, and now you're forced out again. So it's going to be 2 translocators of time because I actually gave you your favored sample of time. Like, I called this your 19 to 33% and then put you here, but now you have to run back into this fight to contribute again, which if you'd just been here, you could have gotten that same 33% much faster. You see what I'm saying here? Like, now you're going to have to go do this again.
Much better.
So really, it wasn't 19 to 33, it was 19 to 36, and it took us till the 8-minute mark to get there. That's a more accurate sample of what you did since you had to run back twice by teleporting like that. So, like, I'm not saying that the deep flanks are wrong, though they are more wrong on Koth, but what I am saying is you do have to be aware, like, there was just no reason to give this up. This is perfectly valid. If your team is shooting from here, and the other team is here, and you're going, hey, I'm shooting from here, that's valid. 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 But retaking this takes a really long time, just putting, in that example, compared to retaking this, and it's not that much better. Like, you can do it. It's good between fights to set up for something like this, but if you have to reset up in the middle of a fight, I'm pretty happy with this one. I'm going to get way more damage done. I'm going to get way more ult charge done. I'm going to take the baby McCree off angle as opposed to going for this because I don't really have amazing elimination potential if you're going for that ult charge. But hey. Good. Okay.
Beacon in place.
Yeah, you got it, Sire Sappy. 16 with team, 13 on flank. Took longer for the flank too. Okay. And to be clear, I don't want Sombra just sitting in the ball of her team. I do want her at least taking a minor off angle, but... And I'm not opposed to the flank when you have time ahead of the fight to invest to set it up, but the fight was going on when our Sombra left.
I'm out of here. Gotcha. Feeling much better. I might need this later.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Been here all along.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna live with that.
Enemy turret destroyed. Much better.
It's gonna be a dicey place on stealth.
Enemy turret.
Okay.
My EMP
Wait.
is almost charged.
Okay, you're just gonna EMP to let them in. Now you're just gonna wait. We got 92. Don't blow this. Don't blow this. Why would you even chance yourself being here?
Apagando las luces.
I'll get the hook. Okay. Okay. Coalescence is going. I'll be okay. I just don't like it. I'd have preferred a cleaner fight, given that you went down when to start that and are at 92. But hey. Oh look, you go down. I'm not shocked. Okay. Your team didn't really have great angles.
Beacon in place.
Do I want to talk through it more? I guess. Okay. So. Here we are. You've done this. You've realized you effectively have ult.
Enemy turret here. My EMP is almost charged.
Okay. Your Torb just went down. Their Lucio went down, so 5v5, so not absolutely wild to do this. That's a fortifying Orisa. So that Orisa is already fortifying. Your hack, isn't going to do much there. Your team is huddled in the corner here a bit. Your Orisa's huddled in the corner a bit. Your Mercy's here. Your Hog is still transitioning, not set up on their off angle yet. Okay. Like, are you going to EMP on top of this and get the Ana in the front line? And then miss the Torb in the turret? Or are you going to go forward to get the Torb in the turret and miss the Ana? Like, you have decisions to make here. But your team doesn't look ready to aggresstimate. You're using this ult to help them rotate into a 5v5. Will they get most of the ult's value in terms of time to do damage? Yes, they will. But they're going to be using the first 2 seconds of this ult to get in, to keep huffing around the corner, really 3 seconds of ult, 4 seconds of ult before your Hog gets value. Like, this isn't the most amazing initiation ever. You want to use your ult when your team is already put together something resembling an adequate initiation. Your team is in the fight, not to get them into the fight. EMP is too powerful to use to tell your team to push. And I don't care whether you're on comms or not. How much sass do you gain by having the scarf equipped? I have a lot of sass without it. So this is this is the sort of thing where like you wanted to see more aggression. You can tell your team you're ulting, and even if you're not in comms because they tilt on you because maybe you're Sombra one tricking, I don't know. Like I don't care. You can still read from their body language, from their positioning, whether they're ready to aggress or not. And this hog isn't ready to aggress. This hog is still seconds from being useful. Mercy can join whoever, so we're not worried. But this Moira could not be tucked further in the corner. This is back here. You're missing your Torb. You're missing your Hog, effectively. This is not going to be a powerful initiation. There's just not enough damage. And you aren't putting yourself in a great position to follow up. Like, you're going to be here, and you know you're going to get forced out quickly. So, like, if you're here where you're going to get forced out quickly, your Hog isn't relevant yet, and your Torb is in spawn, we're counting on these heroes to get a lot of work done during our EMP? That's not going to work. And here's when it actually is. Your Orissa's initiating, but is in not great shape. Hog is still a good 3 seconds from being able to initiate. And your positioning is such that I don't know if you're going to get the turret or not. You will now because you stepped forward. Yeah. Okay. Let's watch this from third person. And you're first down. And I'm actually not sure why you didn't just TP out, because if memory serves, you'd set your translocator over here, where you could have at least continued to be relevant on the Ana. And if you're relevant on the Ana with your cover, you're going to keep her distracted while your team pushes. Like, that obviously is better than getting eliminated. But hey. Oh yeah, damage boosted coalescence into Fortify. They got this. So this is a time, this is an example of a time when it's good to set up the long, deep flank. Because, hey, you have lots of time. You can't initiate on these guys. You're just going to have to wait for your team.
Be right back.
Heroes never die. Here I am.
Fine. Okay, you see that something's shooting at you, or you saw that the Torb was over there, so I would have expected you to change the angle to put this between you and the Torb, but hey.
I'm out of here. Mucho mejor. ¿Extrañaste?
This is early. Why are you worried about the point yet? Why are you here? Like, why are you here at 95? That doesn't activate overtime yet. You'd need to touch at 97 to activate overtime. You don't need to stop it from capping. You can be working on this Orisa, who's going to be more credibly distracted. You can in a second work on the McCree. But working on these guys, you're forcing yourself into a 1v3, or you're forcing yourself to wait, and neither of those are preferable. What? What? Rather than shoot up, of course they're going to turn and deal with you. They're not going to, this is awkward. They can barely engage with what's up here, with what's up there. Of course they're going to turn and fight you. This is an early touch. I literally would have preferred you to try to duel a McCree with flashbang up here than doing this.
Ahorita regreso.
A couple seconds later, doing the point thing would have been fine, but that's, again, understanding the objective. Why? He's already molten cord. Why are we hacking him? Probably need to be accepting that from here on, this translocator needs to be here, not back on the health pack. Just the reality of how you'd expect this fight to evolve, in terms of you might have to leave and then retouch again. But okay, I'm definitely being nitpicky. Why are we on the Torb?
Translocating. Been here all along.
Okay. So if we shoot the supercharger, maybe none of them will notice us. If we shoot the Torb that has sound barrier, the Torb's going to come and shoot at us. So let's break the supercharger that doesn't benefit from the sound barrier. That would be a cool plan. Temporal, what rank do people realize 1v3 is bad? You know, funny question that. I've watched lots of high GM players just be like, no, I'm limit testing. I'm limit testing. Like, that's this magic word for getting me to get off their case, which obviously, yes, I understand it. There is something to be said for, let me see how hard I can push this pulse bomb into this 1v6 scenario. Like, let me see what exactly I can get away with. But they don't, blah. They just get better at lying to you about why they're doing it. And, you get better at rolling your eyes. No, that's true. Sometimes your team does fake you out with their pushes, but cooldowns are real, right? Like, cooldowns are real, and especially enemy cooldowns are real. Like, if the enemy is down a Winston bubble, that's pretty real. Okay. Yeah, the bridge would be good. Between the health back on the bridge and having high ground to shoot down over it, that would have been a good place to stage from.
Here I am.
Okay, you're running out of time here. Like, you move faster than your team, you have a little time. You have some time to, in this first fight, stage a deep angle on the opponents, but you're quickly running out. Like, okay, they're here, they're fighting. We're pretty close to the point at which I would prefer you just off-angling slightly from here, or off-angling from here, rather than spending the time to get back here, if getting back here is going to take this long. This is too long. You are too late to this fight. But this is good. I like this. You're playing from a place where the supports can't bother you, so the backline can't really bother you, and you get to just free farm on a tank. I do like this. I just would have liked this to happen faster. Good.
The objective is now.
It's fine. You were a touch late, but you did what you were supposed to.
¿Qué onda?
Fine. You can bleed this out because your team doesn't have a real engage.
Enemy turret offline.
Okay, now your next engage has to be real. It has to be timed to when your team can actually do something.
Ahorita regreso.
I'm not convinced you have as much time as I think you have.
Hey there.
Okay. Huh.
See you later.
Like, the support challenge is a style. You can do this if you're confident that you can beat supports. You don't have the kit for it that Tracer does, and now you're doomed. Yeah. So, the thing about going for the backline heavy challenge compared to what you did here that I liked, this is really cool because you get to farm a lot of ult charge while still putting in pressure. You don't put in as good pressure as like an Ashe, a 76, a McCree would, but like you put in good damage pressure on them while also being attention pressure from a flank, which is deeper than like a McCree would usually have. So that's good. And you get to just farm it nice, and that's good. When you try to fight the Ana, the problem that you run into is, yes, that is in some ways better pressure on their team because, hey, Ana not healing is worth more than your damage, which is only okay against the back of their Hog, the back of their Orisa. But the problem that you run into is she will force you out pretty quickly because neither of your abilities are really actually great in the fight. You have stealth and you have your translocator, which are sort of a get in and a get out type ability. You don't have any actual abilities for the fight, so your abilities, unsurprisingly, tend to have to get used to match one of her abilities. So, oh, she naded, now I have to leave because she sustained with her nade and I can't beat her anymore on this trip, etc. And you don't end up getting very many ult charge from those engagements. So, like, that can be useful if you can distract, pull enough people's attention, and then get out, though Tracer's a better hero for that. So, like, that can be a thing if you're really doing these with supreme timing, legit playstyle. Because you could get the assassination, or you could pull 3 like this as long as you can get out, which you will not be getting out here, obviously. The problem is, the more consistent playstyle for Sombra really is the, hey, let me just hit this soft off angle. Let me hit this deeper off angle that your backline can't get me. I don't really want your backline getting me because it slows down my outcharge. And the reason we care about this is, again, we talked about for the actual dueling, you don't have blinks. You don't have dashes. You don't have deflect. You don't have flight and focusing beam. You have teleport and stealth, so really the backline fight, like, while it's a style and you can use it sometimes, especially when paired with some of the others, you actually really like to just keep your uptime higher and go like, hey, let me just get to my ult as quickly as possible, because your ult is so good compared to those other heroes' ults. Like, you can do the backline style, but doing this into the side is pretty darn powerful. And if you're doing the backline style, that timing needs to be perfect. And you need to get out. Or you need to be paired with someone. If you're doing the backline style alone, you're not farming very much ult charge off of fighting a McCree, off of fighting an Ana. Are you distracting and making it easier for their front line to melt? Yes. Yes, you are. But you can get some of that same value by putting the damage into the front line yourself from a safe place. Not as good as turning the Ana away, I agree. But you can stay at it for much longer, and you get your ult charge on the way, and your ult is so good. So that's why Sombra leans towards the other style.
The objective is mine. Join me if you will. Enemy turret destroyed.
Temporal, what is Sombra's ideal range?
I might need this later.
I'll show you.
Ya estoy lista para ese trago.
I mean, this player is pretty comfortable with Sombra's ideal range. They like to play at what's effectively Sombra's range. They just don't adjust it as much as they should in some situations. Like, there's a reason they were fighting the Widow and the Zarya at the distance that they were fighting them at. It's a good range for Sombra. Yes, she has some spread, but it's still a good range for Sombra, because her spread doesn't really tighten enough for you when you get closer. But that was a good range. Generally, you just need to adjust for the realities of what does the cover against opponents look like, what does Widow's range look like, etc. Like, by getting closer, Widow's effectiveness gets a lot worse than yours does.
Gotcha.
Okay. Good stuff.
This will help. I'm in aim.
Beacon.
And is this south of them pulling 3 people to deal with you? Let's go back. Let's do our fair evaluation here. Here we are.
Ahorita regreso.
Your Rhine is ready to push, but hasn't pushed.
Hey there.
You're revealing. Your Rhine still isn't pushing. You're fighting. You're teleporting away. Is your Rhine pushing off of that? Yeah. Good. Problem. How much ammo did you have there?
Hey there.
7 shots, okay. Rounding the corner out into the open before you've finished your reload. Yeah, I mean, you have 3 people pulled on you while they're fighting, so this is good. This is helping. This is very much what it's doing. Your engagement timing was still early, though. Good. And as you've noticed, you don't get to distract them for very long.
Enemy turret within my sight.
Gotcha.
This will help.
Okay. Set up again.
Beacon in place. ¿Extrañaste?
Okay.
Initiating. See you later.
My ultimate is ready. Let's do this.
Okay.
Enemy turret sighted.
Feeling much better.
Was oh, you can't hack. There's the turret. Okay. Yeah. You can't hack. There's a turret. I'm not sure why you've insisted on this 3 times when you've been forced out so quickly each time. Like, you have had so little uptime in this fight. So little uptime in this fight. Just accept that you're going to have to play more from, like, here-ish while your team does this. Or accept that you're going to have to play this more carefully on this wall, on this corner, as opposed to getting in here like this.
I love this.
Fifth time is the charm. I think we won 4th, but yeah. Okay. Wait for the timing. Okay. I don't really think I want you here, but okay.
Apagando las luces.
Sure.
Enemy turret ahead.
Are you gonna hack that hog or no? Too late. Good, you're playing for the cover. A lot less meaningful to hack him after the hook's out, but whatever. I mean... It's lava. It's lava. I promise it's lava. Like, I promise that that's lava. It is. It's still lava. It's still lava. You trolled yourself there. I don't care that the Orisa hurt you. You trolled yourself there.
The enemy has placed a turret here. Enemy turret.
I might need this later.
Taking the objective.
Out of my way.
Glory.
Getting in position.
Enemy turret ahead.
Beacon in place. Initiating the hack.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Mm-hmm. I'd really like these guys to commit a little heavier. I know they're a poke team. I do know that they're a poke team, but I would like these guys to commit a little bit harder before you reveal yourself here. I don't think you're going to maintain it. Oh, look, you TP'd out. You have to run back in.
Much better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's get started. ¿Qué tal?
Good.
Feeling much better.
Mm-hmm. Just get your aim, babe. That's fine.
Enemy turret here. Intentemos otra vez. EMP charge. At will.
Overtime.
Been here all along. Apagando las luces.
It's the last fight. Fine. Okay.
Victory.
What do we want to focus on here? I mean, really the thing that's going to help you the most, this sort of epitomized right here. This is good, what you did right here. This is only okay, what you did back here. And if we went back to Mechabase, there's a place for, hey, I'm a distraction and that provides value for my team, but the understanding of how to play Sombra, especially on ladder, has really evolved past that and has really got into a place of, hey, if you're going to try to get value on Sombra, you have to keep your uptime higher, and to keep your uptime higher, that usually just means softer off angles, because the running in on the laps, like, you're using both of your cooldowns to go on a lap, to go do something where you then get 9, 12, whatever percent ult charge most of the time. You force some cooldowns, you distract them a little, sure, but you get a minimal amount of ult charge, and so much of your hero's value is tied to your ult. And while you force some cooldowns, it's rare that you actually force eliminations yourself. So like this playstyle is more for a tracer. Your playstyle is more of a, I'm going to off angle. Between fights, should you take advantage of your super speed with stealth to go set stuff up and be like, hey, I'm going to set up a deeper angle? Yes, you should. But ideally, you actually set up those deeper angles so that you can do stuff like this. This was really good, where their backline really couldn't mess with you very much while you could shoot their tanks in the back. That is like, oh, great. I just get to charge my ult, one of the best ults in the game. Again, I don't do as much distraction, as much pressure on their team as if I was messing with the Ana for the time, for the time that I'd be messing with the Ana, for the time that I'd be messing with the McCree. It's not as much pressure on their team. But when you look at the total contribution, it's like setup time, your contribution is down here. Spike in effectiveness. Okay, spike in effectiveness. Versus just a constant through line that's like up here. This is the one we want. This is the one we want. But before fights, will we sometimes go, hey, I'm going to instead sort of cheat, and I'm going to get a different line that actually looks more like, how do I want to draw this line? That looks more like, hey, I start at this high place, and then because I don't need to contribute while there's no fight going on, while, there's nothing to do. So I start at this high place that is a peak because I've pre-set up to go behind them. And then I fall down because of where my translocator is. Like I fall down because of where my translocator is to this line sight and go here, and then just play the rest of the fight out here until, I'm forced out for real. And then, okay, maybe I'm forced out for real and I drop. But like this would be, okay, I can't draw this here. That's not going to work. Let me draw this. My other option is going to be something along the lines of, I start at this high place, I get forced out with my translocator, but my translocator puts me somewhere like over here because I started here fighting this Ana, so then I drop to here and I go along this line. Hey, even better. That's sort of what you're looking to do as Sombra to get the most value. Now, obviously, this is the thing that I would focus on trying to do. Try to get more of this. Try to be doing less of these loops, especially when you're not playing with another flank DPS. If you're playing with another flanker, you have a Winston that can jump in with you, you have a Tracer that's going in with you, the more distraction or assassination style, great, go for it, fantastic. Or if there's something that has to be locked down on the other team, like a Widow, that's just your job and your team needs the contribution. You'll notice I wasn't complaining about how you were playing on the first map. I didn't talk at all about this, hey, you need to do more of this uptime stuff on the first map, or I talked very little about it. That's because there was a threat that, required you to go do that. That's not true in these, and in these you are going to find, hey, I want to instead get more contribution by having this better uptime to get to my ult where I will have my power spike. Because if I continued these graphs, what you would ultimately run into is, of course, based on how they work, this would actually hit its real power spike and just go to the moon with EMP, whereas this wouldn't go to the moon for EMP until much later, whereas, the red one, I suppose, would go to the moon for EMP maybe a little bit earlier. Take your pick. Doesn't really matter. But like understanding that you want to go, hey, I would like to, in a lot of these matchups, take positions like this. Take positions like this. If the best I can do after my teleporter is to play from a position like this while my team is here, that's fine. I'll play from the position like this. It's still a minor off angle. I'm still going to get work done. I'm still going to get more damage done and put more pressure on them in total than I would by going, okay, I got forced out. Let me run, pressure. Or let me run. And then I end up dueling a Torb, who, maybe I do more damage to him than he does to me, but he still forces me out. And I have to go, okay, let me go find a health pack, or let me wait for my Anna to heal me and then go do stuff. Whereas if you'd just been doing this the whole time, you'd have been contributing more. Against most situations, the matchups do matter. Okay, that's going to be the most important thing, and it's probably not going to feel good, and it's probably going to transform your Sombra playstyle a little bit. So, keep that in mind. What we're talking about here is this higher uptime Sombra to get those ults faster into the type of matchups that we're talking here. Not less true when you have another diver on your team, and less true when there's something like a Widow that just demands being tied up, or if it's just critical that you tie up a Mercy pocketed Ashe or something for your team to get in. That's going to happen. Are you going to use the distraction style? Can you find value out of the distraction style? Absolutely, especially if your team is having trouble rotating. You might go, the best thing I can do is be a distraction to help them get their initiation. That'll sometimes happen, but you need to be going, hey, that's a speed, that's a choice I have, but my default is to go do this if there's nothing that's demanding that, and there really wasn't in these last two maps. So please look for that. The next thing that I would work on if I were you is I'd get a little more comfortable playing at different ranges and a little comfortable getting closer to stuff. I can see that you do have sort of a fixed range that you like to play at, and that's a fine range for Sombra, but just learn your matchups a little more, be a little more respectful of, hey, I might want to change this range if it gives me cover against other people, or I might want to change this range if I'm fighting against Widows. Be a little more aware of the distance that you're playing at, be a little more aware of what the geography looks like, because, just like we were talking about, again, I'm going to go to this example where you played it quite well. This is part of what made this so good. You're farming the tanks in the back. Their backline can't see you. And even when you're out dancing in the middle of the battlefield fighting, you want to look to create those situations. And sometimes you are, but there's more room to do so than you are. So that's the next thing. That sort of dovetails nicely enough with the controlling your distance for your aim against some heroes, as well as controlling your distance for your aim so that you can take advantage of that relative cover like that. And then the third thing, this isn't going to be news to you. There's engagement timing. Your engagement timing on Sombra is important for two reasons. A, you can't sustain when you're all in very well at all, so your windows are short when you are playing the heavy backliner style. And B, your EMP timings just have to be right, because the hero's a throw if your EMP timings aren't right. And, what does a right timing look like? Well, if you're running a brawl team, is your Rhine actually close to them? If you're running a poke team, has your team actually set up its angles? Like your Torb had set up a nice angle, your Hog had almost set up a nice angle on the first point. On the one push through main, okay, that could have been a fine EMP timing. Your Orisa was a little less aggressive than we would have liked, but that was an okay EMP time. But then we saw worse, where your Hog was still a couple seconds away from being in the engagement spot. Your Orisa already had a passive barrier down, things like that. Your Moira was tucked super far back. You want to be looking for it, and even if you're not on comms, you have to read your team's body language. What's their positioning? What's their cooldown? What's their momentum in terms of their movement? What you can see through walls look like, even if you're not on comms. If you're on comms, yell at them to push, and then EMP. You don't EMP to enable them to push. You know that. I'm going to touch on that the least. I think you know that. If you have more questions on that, let me know. But I think you know that, and I think you probably see how you can clean that up a bit more. Okay, if there's any questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events there are, all that good stuff. I was trying to get rid of the sound, can't do it. Okay. That's a good way of putting it. She was very Tracer-like with the engagements and slower re-engagements, and Sombra isn't really tooled for that. Yeah. And sometimes you are going to have to be Tracer-like. This style of Sombra exists and has its places. It does. Those places are I'm playing with another diver, or my team needs me to be a budget tracer. My team needs me to be a distraction to help them get in. My team's getting melted on the front line, and they simply need me to disproportionately pull backline pressure. That can be a thing, but it shouldn't be your default. And if you're constantly doing that, if that's your only way of playing the hero, you should be playing tracer. Okay. There you go, Adam. There you go. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. I will be launching into another one in just a couple minutes here, so I hope to see you all there. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.